So once we've set our scale and made a duplicate of our channel and named it appropriately, we're ready to start trying to clean this mess. So first things first, we got to scroll all the way back to the beginning of the data, and then using my zoom tool to kind of start zooming in. We got to start at the beginning, and now, as is often the case, when you begin a sequence of data, things like PEP and heart rate cannot be calculated until it hits a second heartbeat. So this is just at the beginning of every file, you're going to have a 0, and it's just going to be 0 no matter what. You can't do anything with that particular 0. But as you scroll along, we need to fix our scale here again. It didn't want to listen. 0.05 and 0.1. I'm going to say OK. Okay, I've got my zoom just the way I want it here in terms of scale. Now, we're going to start looking at our normative value here. We covered in the last video, it's somewhere around maybe 0.12, 0.125. These are all real values, and you can see there's clean data here and there's clean data here. So we're pretty confident about this clean, good value here. Now it drops to 0, and we can see what happened is acknowledge couldn't label this cycle. It was maybe too anomalous for it to figure out how to label it. So the resulting calculation just went to 0. And that's not really probably what was happening. The actual pre-ejection period for that person in that time was something other than 0. We just didn't have the data. This data is impossible for the Italians to work with that we're collaborating with, so we need to clean that up. So what we need to do is use our I-beam tool. So we're going to click up here. That's your I-beam tool. We're going to highlight just from the right where the last good value for PEP was, and all the way until when the next good value kicks in. And then we're going to just have it literally just connect those two endpoints. So it's going to take a 0 value and lift it up to some linear interpolation between these 2 points. So that's transform, math functions, connect endpoints, and there you go. So that we got rid of 1 0 value. Woohoo! Now the next thing we need to do is we've got a bigger mess over here. We've got a real good value in here. This is a good value, and then it drops to 0, so we know that's bad. So we would try to interpolate, and then but here we've got this is a bad value because it's too tall. And I could waste my time scrolling up and going and finding what the real value is, but it doesn't matter. It goes way beyond any normative value. And we can see there was noise all over in this channel. And it didn't even label here. So sometimes what happens is it finds a QRS onset here, and it's looking for its next B point. And since this didn't get labeled, it just keeps moving on to a new cycle. So it's calculating from one cycle across a second and a third, and it's giving you a B point. So that's how we know how it got an anomalously big value that's wrong. So we don't waste our time figuring out whatever wrong value it said. We just know it's too big. So this needs to be eliminated. The zeros before it needs to be eliminated. And the zeros after it need to be eliminated. So we're going to connect endpoints from here to somewhere maybe around here. Now, what often happens after a lot of noise is when it starts to pick up with real data here, it becomes iffy. You see there's often a little bit lower value leading up to a bigger value. This lower value could be valid for this person later on in this sequence that we're looking at. But right now, if you look up above where we've highlighted, this is a noisy little cycle here. It's still part of this where the rhythmicity drops off and an impossible noisy squiggle kicks in. That's noise. And so this is a noisy value, and we're not so happy with it. So we're actually going to be taking a connect endpoint between this value and all the way over to this value, which looks like it kicked in and started gathering real data. That looks like a nice clean cycle. So we're going to connect these endpoints, transform, math functions, connecting points. And that just cleaned up a whole lot of mess really fast. And then we're just going to continue on our way. I'll pick up in the next video a few more examples, and then you can just continue through your process.